Okay.
Good evening, guys, and welcome to my first episode of my digital content conversation. And if you're joining us tonight, you can just let me know where you're joining from, what your profession is, and what you're hoping to learn from my guest tonight. And yeah, let's start the session. So my name is 𝐄𝐩𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐸. I'm a digital content strategist, apart from being a nutritionist. This is my first episode of actually been thinking about this for a while. Now I have 4 seasons out where I talk about digital content creation. I provide tips here and there. So if you've connected with me here on LinkedIn, you know every Saturday at 10 a.m. I usually have an episode out. But I'm thinking for season 5, I'll want to be bringing in guests because I'm running out of ideas. But let's see how this series goes. If it gets a good reception, we are going to find other people who are going to come and talk about their content creation journey. So please, before we continue, just kindly leave your name, your profession in the comment section, as I said. And I know LinkedIn is very wide, so whichever country you're joining us from, please feel free to also add the name of the country you're joining us from. And along the way, as I was creating this series, when I started, I hadn't even thought it's going to go this far. I wanted to be able to help you guys use your social media platform very well, intentionally, and also create opportunities for yourself. So today I'm having a guest over, and his name is Brighton. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, what he does, and a short bio about his digital content creation journey before we start the session. Brighton, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Charity. I want to first appreciate and thank you for the invitation to contribute when it comes to matters relating to content creation. So I'll just introduce myself as you said. So my name is Brighton Onyango. I'm a registered clinical nutritionist and, of course, dietitian. Um, as I do my introduction, I want to say I'm a proud first-class honors back in Technical University of Kenya, where I graduated in 2023 December. Yeah. So currently, I work at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital as my main job that I do. Of course, I also have the privilege of being a guest lecturer at University of Nairobi, and working also with a program or organization called Diabetes Center. Basically, it's a program called Diabetes and Total Lifestyle Change Program that advocates for a healthy lifestyle among the communities with the purpose of basically putting diabetes into remission. Yeah, so those are the few things that I do. And of course, I'm a very active person when it comes to social media and content creation, where I educate people in matters relating to nutrition. So basically, I fit this conversation that we are going to have today. I've been a student leader. I've been in the platforms representing nutrition. That's the Kenya Nutrition and Dietetics Students Association. So those are just a few things that basically will cap up my introduction. Thank you. Back to you, Charity.
So before we actually get into the session tonight, because we are talking about digital content conversation, so at what point in your nutrition career did you find yourself in? Because you're so active on LinkedIn and actually celebrate what you do there. So at what point did you find yourself on LinkedIn and then you just started becoming this household name and advocacy and nutrition work?
Okay, thanks again for that. Now, I'll take you a little bit about the journey that I've had. Now, as an individual, I was not so much social media oriented and even having the knowledge on how to go about the content creation and so on the initial stages. I used to be very active on WhatsApp, but with WhatsApp, you're only able to maybe reach people who you've saved and people you know, basically. So, but I used to do a lot on the ground, and I felt like people were appreciating my work on the ground. And these are people who I've interacted with and I know I've connected with every now and then. Now, as I was beginning, what now made me to maybe go beyond and maybe join LinkedIn? Right now, I've also started to be very active on Instagram and other social platforms, including Facebook. Now, there is one of the students who I was mentoring, and of course, I will mention his name, Eric Maina, who is the founder of Comrades for Food Justice. Now, Eric Maina, I've mentored him since he was back in attachment at Mama Lucy. So one day he just approached me and told me, Brighton, you are doing so much and you're just posting on WhatsApp. You're not able to reach the larger audience. And he was telling me, what you have can impact so many lives and you can reach larger audience and it can even make you grow bigger. I had to think about it at that point when you mentioned about that. So at that point when I had a LinkedIn account, by the way, back since campus with around 56 followers. That's around 2 months ago. So with around 56 followers. So when he told me about it, then I said, I really don't know how to go about the posting and so on. I had paid someone some time to make my biography look better on the LinkedIn. I didn't do much good work. So when Eric approached me, I said, why not? So he's my student. He took me through this journey on the initial stages. So I mentored him, he was also mentoring me now in the context of now ensuring that my work is also seen on the social media or other, and also the content that I always share is also shared across. So that was my initial stage. So up to now, we are working together with Eric Maina, who has been supporting me in this journey. So that's how I began the journey, and it is actually worth it. That's what I want to say. So right now, I've felt that I'm reaching the larger audience, and I'm also growing professionally and so on. So I'm connecting with more people. I'm someone who believes in the power of connection, not just with those people above me, but also with those people below me. And maybe I don't know if I'll have to mention, but as I talk about it, I realize that some of the opportunities that I've gotten is, of course, also connecting with the people below. So the power of connections is part of what I believe in as we continue the discussion. Thank you. Back to you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Brighton. I also appreciate Eric Mine. He's among the few students who I diligently follow and interact with his content because I actually do appreciate what he does. So I'm very glad and happy that he's also playing a role. We learn from each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So still in your journey, I don't know if you can remember, like you've explained to us, Eric inspired you and motivated you. So do you remember the first piece of content you posted? How did the reception? How was it? Most people, the first post is usually a make or a break for them. When it doesn't get the likes or the engagement they want, they completely disappear.
Let me see if I really remember what I posted in the initial stage. But I want to believe it must be something relating to my community work that I do at Equity Afya. So that was more of the medical camps that I do and do a more of nutrition screening and identify any people who already are affected with the non-communicable diseases and even those who are still at risk. I think that was my initial post, the very first one. And when I was still having, that's around 2 months ago, when I was actually just having 56 followers. But because now I was convinced and I used to look at actually what others are doing within the LinkedIn, how people have grown. And one of the noticeable names that I already knew, I know he came after me, that is Amos Kamau. When I looked at his LinkedIn, I found this was just a young student the other day and was after me, and he has grown this much, and I could feel he's having a lot of impact on LinkedIn. So even as I began the journey, it was a little bit, I was 50-50, but I was just hoping that it will yield something at the end of the day. So I think the first post was about my medical camps on the Equity Afya, which was positive based on, of course, there were just a few people who were reached here and there, but already it started. We start slowly, and I believe in the process so that we move step by step. So after, even though it was now beyond the 56 followers, I could see some people appreciating that the fact that now I've joined LinkedIn and I'm actively participating. Yeah, so that's what I can recall when it comes to my very first post. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I like to ask people that question because I also remember my first post. You didn't get any like. It's as if people just scrolled past it, and I feel like it discouraged me, and I left LinkedIn. That was way after I finished my internship. 2019, that was before COVID. But after COVID, nilienda reset nikarudi. So I would love for you, because you post consistently, what are some of the challenges you faced earlier on? There's a point leading to why I'm asking this question. Some of the challenges when you were just starting to post, you've mentioned the graphics, navigating the social media space. Can you mention some other few challenges that you faced?
As a new person, especially when you begin to maybe create content and share information about what you do, there are many people who one will ask or would want to know your credibility, and they will question whether you are up to the task and you can deliver and so on. So few people will have less confidence in you. So that's what happened in the initial stage. As I was beginning, I was very new and I had not interacted with so many people. And you can attest that we know each other through LinkedIn and so on. I know I must have seen you during the award session that was held by the Nutrition Dietetics Academy with Nutrition Association of Kenya, but I didn't know you so well during that time, so we didn't interact. But I must have seen you. That will be a glimpse of you at that particular junction. But what basically, because since people do not know you and you are just new, there are less people who will actually, unless there are people who already know you, so less people show confidence in your work. And that's why, like you mentioned, the initial stages, it's even rare to get that one like, unless you put a like on yourself during that particular junction. Again, on the initial stages, I worried so much about consistency because most of the times we begin, but you're not able to keep up with the journey. In terms of now, are you going to be very consistent in terms of providing information? Because if I just begin and in between I'm not able to continue, then again people lose faith and you go back to the where you actually started from. So that was a little bit of a challenge because I had to ensure that at least every week I have something to post. So I must, if it's not all about what I've done, it must be a little bit of content. So that means I had to sit down, start thinking over how I can actually go about it and do it. So it was really challenging to maintain consistent. And in fact, there is a week where I had not posted for 2 weeks, and it was saying, you are going back where we started. So when he told me, then I had to think over what should I really do. So then I started being consistent, and I appreciate the fact that the journey up to now, currently, I'm more consistent. Again, when it comes to what you share in the social media, like I've said, people will question a lot of things and the science behind anything that you share within that particular platform. So one of the challenges is to ensure that of course, I heard how to now convey that information properly. The power of communication. You can have the idea, you can have the information, but how do we convey it to the public in a way that they will be able to also grasp the information that you're saying within a short period of time. So that has been a very big challenge for me, especially in the initial stage when I was beginning. And I want to, of course, as I continue, still to thank Eric because he's been assisting. It's not like he's perfect, but I'm sure he's been doing a little bit much better. And that's why for where I am up to now, of course, I will give him credit in terms of how we've been conveying the information and so on. And of course, I'm learning every day, and then I'm seeing how you, Charity, Mumina, Geraldine, and other people try and convey that information and so on. So it's still a journey for me, but basically those are the few challenges that, as far as of now, I can still remember. Maybe as we go on, I'll be able to say more. Thank you. Back to you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Brighton, for highlighting that, because the main reason why I started this content series was because most people were coming to my DM with the fear of starting out. You know, that first idea you have, and then you want to translate it to your social media. There's always that fear of starting out. I always tell people, once you overcome that fear, and Brighton has attest to it, once you overcome that fear of starting, you will be consistent, because ukipost ya kwanza it doesn't get a like, you post, someone will be coming across your content and they will start engaging with it anyways. So you're going to know the heart of why I wanted Brighton to come here, because the theme of this first episode was creating content, creating opportunities. So we're going to really talk at length about this, so you bear with us. I'll be asking the questions I had, because they're very, very important. You mentioned briefly as you were introducing yourself, but for me, I want you to now to main get with the conversation. You tell us, how has creating content influenced your professional journey?
Thank you. In fact, indeed, that's a very big area that now I also like to share, have grown. Of course, when I graduated, I believe that I was a very competent person, and I got first class honors, but the journey is not always easy. Even if you have first class honors, it's a lot, it's challenging now and then. I had done my attachment to Mamalusi Kibaki Hospital. So later on, when they had an opportunity in 2024, I just applied out of faith, and I want to thank God that I was able to get that opportunity out of competency. But then that wasn't enough for me, because for me, I wanted to grow as a professional. I wanted to impact more lives. In a clinical setup, you're a little bit restricted in terms of maybe how much you can do and how many people you can impact at the end of the day. So I still, even when I was working at Mama Lucy, I was still engaging here and there outside. But I was posting a lot on WhatsApp during that particular period. Now, through WhatsApp, because that's part of where, again, you share what you're doing and maybe a little bit of information. And I'm someone who is very passionate about nutrition. So every now and then I keep sharing things maybe through my WhatsApp during that time. So I realized at some point I started being called to give health talks just because I was sharing through my WhatsApp. So there are people who notice me, and when they go in the environments, their churches, when they go to where they work, they recommend me as someone who is able to maybe give something, because what I was doing when I give health talk at the facility, a video is recorded, I share it on my status. Then you find someone just sees it, and from there he or she feels that this person is able to do a good work. And then I started getting opportunities through my WhatsApp postings, basically on the status. So I started being called for a lot of more medical camps through just recommendations from people who view what I do basically on my status. I started getting opportunities to go and to deliver health talks, especially in relation to nutrition and non-communicable diseases. So that's one of the areas. So I started growing from that very point. So what happened later is that when Eric approached me and told me more about how I can impact many lives when I join other platforms, then I thought about it, that as I started the journey, I was just doing WhatsApp and already started getting a few opportunities. What if I now engage more in other bigger platforms like LinkedIn? I go and do beyond. I had that hope. I was more optimistic that when I engage and I go to LinkedIn and other platforms, I will be able to grow. And for real, I'm not disappointed up to this point where I am, because through LinkedIn, right now I'm interacting with you, I'm interacting with Momena. I used to just see you guys from afar, and right now I'm close. So there is already value that has been added into this context also, because I'm already connecting with the professionals who are seniors and post mentors to so many people. Now, in the same scenario, when I started posting on LinkedIn, and the TNC you invited me for a session on management of severe acute malnutrition, where I dug deep on the 10 step. Did you know that through those sessions and the LinkedIn, that someone saw my, of course, the poster about the session, a nutritionist in Kitale, and they joined the session, the TNC that was held, the initial one. And when they joined the session, and I did a good discussion, which because people say I did a good work. So I did a good discussion on management of severe acute malnutrition. And through that, later on, just a few minutes when the session ended, they reached out and they told me, I want you to come to Kitale referral hospital to train people on the new guideline, basically on integrated management of acute malnutrition. It has opened doors, because I want to say, if it wasn't LinkedIn, how would I reach that opportunity, for example? It will be very difficult. Now, the same way, we have a lecturer from University of Nairobi, Dr. Sarah Obara, who now again invited me. She saw my work through LinkedIn and now invited me again to be a guest lecturer. I'm going to dental schools, University of Nairobi, to be teaching more about nutrition, of course, in relation to issues relating to dental and so on. All that opportunity came through LinkedIn. So when I look at it, it has made me to grow professionally every now and then. Now, I've been engaging with the other media platforms, where I'm expanding my network, and all of that have been possible because people see what basically you do through LinkedIn and other platforms. So through the content you share, especially if it is authentic and it is science-based, it is credible, and you're able to prove and show that indeed this works and so on, there are many people who start believing in what you are doing. And that's how I've started to grow and continue to mentor people, because right now I've been interacting with a nutritionist from Zimbabwe very closely. She's been reaching in and out every now and then, people from Nigeria. How will that be possible? And I feel from that context, even sometimes if you've not gotten maybe real opportunities in terms of work, but you feel the growth in terms of how your network, in terms of people reaching out and would like to hear more from you and so on. That basically forms part of the growth that seeing. So basically, I've gotten a number of opportunities, that some that I've not even mentioned. I've gotten a number of opportunities through the LinkedIn and through that platform, the other social media platforms that I'm engaging through, basically as I share my content here and there. Yeah. Charity.
Thank you so much, Brighton. That was, I'm so happy our platform played a role in your professional journey. I'm very happy when I hear people talk about social media in a positive way, because, well, anyway, that's a story for another day. So for me, I just want to know, do you think you'll have gotten these opportunities if you were not on social media? So I want you to talk about, because there are some people who will say, I'm not comfortable to be on social media. So I think there's a big debate. I don't know if you get the angle I'm going. There are people like they're not on social media. Do you think they're missing this
I'm a little
opportunity?
bit losing it. I'm not sure, you are a little bit breaking. So maybe you can just refresh the question again.
Okay. So do you think you'll have gotten those opportunities if you are not on social media? That is my first question. And then I go, because I'm in my head so much. I keep thinking there's some people who say I'm not comfortable to be on social media. Do you think they're missing such opportunities? I don't know your thoughts around. We had a discussion on our TNC when it comes to professional growth, visibility, and opportunities. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Charity. Now, do I really think that I would have gotten these opportunities without the social media help? The simple answer is no, because with the social media, that's how I was able to connect with more people. I was able to connect with them, they were able to see my work. Now, if I didn't share that through the social media, especially maybe the bigger platforms like LinkedIn, I wouldn't have been able to get those opportunities most of the times. And maybe even the TNC would have not invited me to do a session. So when I'm invited for these sessions, most of the people who invite me, they have seen my work through LinkedIn, for example, and through the other social media platforms. Now, when I was just doing the post on WhatsApp, like I've said, I was very limited. because there are few. And remember, if there was no WhatsApp, even I was not posting on WhatsApp, that means I will just be working in Mama Lucy. No one knows whether I'm doing a good work or not. I'm not able to impact many more lives within the community and so on. So basically, without the social media and the content that I've been sharing, I wouldn't be where I am today. That's the simple answer that basically I'm also going to give in this context. Yeah. So again, for the second part of the question, do people who are not in the social media miss a lot? They do. They do. I know there are people who are not fond of social media. Like I've said, even myself, I was just more fond of WhatsApp. I didn't know how to go about the other platforms and so on. And I feared platforms like Facebook and, and so on. I didn't like it that much. But then I can say that people who do a lot of things, they do a lot of work, or basically professionals, and they are not engaging more within the social platforms, they lose a lot, because I feel there is more when it comes to social media. It can build a lot of opportunities for anyone, as long you are able to share information that is credible, that is authentic, and be consistent every now and then. So again, I feel we need to have more of maybe trainings on how we can go about it, because some of us are just fresh, and then we enter, and sometimes because of fear of criticism, maybe your first post was not accepted so well and so on, we give up in between. So the best way, maybe I've seen TNC doing so well in terms of maybe orienting people when it comes to aspect of social media and so on. I want to say that it is because as far as we would like to share information, like I've said, there are challenges that comes with it in between. So a lot of trainings and so on, and how we can go about it, need to be shared. Because for most people, again, who are not involved in this, other than maybe the fear of how they can share, they are not confident in themselves. How can we be confident when we really don't know how to go about these things so well? So one of the recommendations that and of course, because I've seen TNC, I've started doing that at some point. You can continue with the good work in terms of renting people when it comes to building content. And what you are now doing with us, it's going to help me as a professional, it's going to help many more people on how to go about these things. So training is a very important aspect that basically we need to consider when it comes to social media and content creation. Yeah. Back to you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Brighton. That is a very important question, because even for myself, sometimes I feel like in my series, I tend to push people so much, because for me, I still believe we are moving to the digital technological era. Whether people like it or not, a lot of people are getting information from social media, they're getting information from Google, they're getting information from YouTube, they're getting information from TikTok, especially TikTok. We are going against wellness influencers, wellness gurus, people who are not trained to be nutritionists. They do not have a license, and they're sharing information. So for me, sometimes I feel like they come in and take the opportunities because they have seen a gap, they have seen somewhere that is not being filled, and they're coming in to fill. And they are nutritionists who are saying they're not getting anything. I think when I attended or I was a guest at Geraldine's TikTok live, I was so inspired by the guests who are speaking on so many other things, guys. I'm like, nikiona watu wamekaa and they're complaining there are no opportunities, and then you log in and you see people. If you know how to use it, I feel like social media is beneficial. So thank you so much for sharing your journey, and I'm happy umekuja social media and you're staying because we need more people to advocate for nutrition, to especially today. You can tell us about today. Ulikuwa kwa the food safety. You tell people how they get such opportunities, please. How do we hear about such opportunities for someone who wants to know? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you once again. Actually, the session on food safety was yesterday, and today I had gone for a session on diabetes. We're having diabetes work today. And I feel like nowadays, some jobs have actually, for example, I quitted Equity Afia because opportunities, they have come so many. For Equity Afia, I used to go mostly on Saturdays and Sundays, go and do medical camps and so on. Now, what has happened since I started engaging more on this social media and creating content and sharing information about what I do, and of course, information related to nutrition and so on, there are many more opportunities that have come up. So as these opportunities come up, I sometimes I have to weigh one and the second one, and then when I do the weighing, I realize that I have to drop some, and as I drop some, of course, I give them to my mentees, some of them, and so on. Now, how do I get these opportunities? Again, I'll just go back that you must be very consistent in what you are sharing. Your information must be very credible in terms of what you are sharing. You must try. Sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect, and of course sometimes you can share information and it has a little bit of contradiction. If you are not right at that context, also you have to accept that indeed there are adjustments that you need to do, or in terms of what you are sharing and so on. So yesterday we had a session on food safety, and I don't like, even Amos Kamau, we never met physically before. Crispers, Quinoa, and many more people who I engage with. Now, how did I get those opportunities? Again, it comes the LinkedIn and the other social media platforms, because they see what I do, and someone would feel like they would like to engage me more and more when it comes to this. And through those engagements, opportunities start coming up and so on. Now, I'm someone who believes in competency. Now, as I believe in competency, because competency matters so much. Why do I believe so much in competency? I know you can get opportunity through connection and other things, but again, if you're given that job and you're not competent enough, you might lose that particular job. So even as one want to grow, they must ensure that at least they are competent enough, so that if opportunity comes, they utilize that opportunity well. Because imagine you've given me a job and I've not done it well. When another opportunity comes, you might not give me the same job. You'll be considering another person in the same context. So one of the things that I've done, every time I'm given opportunity, I try my best to deliver, so that even if there is another opportunity, there are people who can come up and recommend me. I've seen a post about people speaking about you in rooms where you are not even there. You are not in those rooms, but people recommend you because you are doing a marvelous work. So for me, every single day, in fact, from almost Monday to Sunday, I'm getting engaged and I'm getting a lot of opportunities. Now, the restriction is that I'm still working in a clinical setup. I still have to go to work. Some of them I have to drop in between, but people cannot say that there are no opportunities. There are so many opportunities. When last year, I was telling most of my students that I was doing 5 jobs at the same time. And I was just a recent graduate in 2023 December. So when you look at it, right now we are in 2026. So we're talking about 2 years now outside school. And when you leave school, there are a lot of uncertainties. You don't know, even with first class honors. I can tell you, in my class, we are having a number of around 4 first class honors, that is including me. And all of us have moved in different directions. Some are doing better, some are not doing well, and so on. So it's not all about the paperwork. Again, you have to show it. When you get the opportunity in the field, are you able to do it well, and so on. But like you mentioned, there are people who have identified the gap in the social media, and there are people who now share information but they are not licensed. There are people who do not share credible information, all of that. And that's why it is important for any other person, any other professional who is certified, who is registered, they need to utilize this platform, so that we don't have a lot of misinformation being shared again through the social media. Because remember, again, with a lot of misinformation in the social media, it loses its credibility and so on. Because again, people will be asking, how do we go about it? I don't know if you can have a regulation on how that can be done. It's maybe that's a story for another day. But basically, we as professionals who are in the field and doing a lot, we need to stand up with the information that we have and be scientific, because nutrition for me is a science. So read, learn, grow every single day, come up with new ideas, share those ideas, and you'll definitely grow and you'll continue getting opportunities. When Charity goes somewhere, she can recommend Brighton, you can recommend Maina, because you know the work that they are doing. So right now, even someone, if they are doing a very good work on the ground, but you do not know about them, you might not recommend because you don't know. Even if I recommend for you that person, you might just, you'll be 50-50. Can this person really deliver? And so on. So again, these people should take up this space, the professionals that you have, so that we don't cry so much about opportunities. We also try and look for them, and social media. I know there are people earning a lot through also social media and the content creation on TikTok, on YouTube, and so on. So that's another way of exploring. And for me, right now, as we speak, I'm planning to begin something on food as medicine. I know it's something that is done in the US, and I'm planning to do it because I know it will help me grow, and I'll be sharing it across the social media platforms. I still don't have a good structure on how I want to go about it. I need to structure myself a little bit better, and I'm sure I'll also be sharing that soon every week about food as medicine, because I believe in the power of food in the treatment of many diseases, in prevention of the non-communicable diseases, and so on. Yeah, back to you, Charity.
Thank you so much. I love the passion in your voice when you speak about the work you do. And I feel like that is a motivation and an inspiration to someone who is tuning in and watching you and wondering, maybe I'm just a fresh graduate. How can I go about this? How will I do it? Listen to Brighton, but they go and connect with him on LinkedIn, Brighton Onyango. He really does an amazing job. I'm your follower, so I will continue
Thank
watching
you.
that space, and we're looking forward to whatever you launch. We'll be able to just back you and support you, because I love when nutritionists thrive. So we're going to go to building a personal brand. I know there's some debates on it, because someone will ask, do I really need a personal brand? So I'll start by asking you, do you have a personal brand that we should know?
That's a good question. Thank you. It's something that because someone had already suggested for me that I wasn't having a personal brand initially, and I realized if you have a personal brand, again, it pushes you to another extent or another limit. Right now, I call myself the Bright Nutritionist, the Bright Nutritionist, and that I think just started the other day when we were having we're having the voting for the Nutritionist of the Year award and so on. I want to build a brand. That's basically right now. I'm starting to build on it. I feel there are people who have grown so much because they have a personal brand and they can be identified through that and the work that they do and so on. When you look at me keenly, in terms of what I do, even though I'm a clinical nutritionist, I do way so much. Maybe I do what community nutritionists do and many other things because I engage a lot with the community and so on. And that sometimes can make it difficult because someone might also not know exactly where your area of expertise in, what can you do so well in, and so on. So in terms of having a personal brand, is something that I'm creating currently. I haven't had one that I will talk about so much. I've been just here and there every now and then. But then I know you may be having a lot of experience in regards to one having personal brand and so on. But basically, what I'm doing, I'm trying to build my influence with purpose. I talk about responsible, basically content creation, ensuring that I'm very authentic as much as I can, and the information that I share is very credible, and also, of course, very accurate, and someone is able to verify that information. And of course, the information that we share must also be evidence-based, even as we have personal brands and so on. It's something that maybe I'll be looking up to you to mentor me again in those contexts, because I find you someone who already have built a platform and so on. So I'm looking forward to schools. I'm still a young professional, as I always mention, still young in this field, and you and the many other professionals are the people who I'm looking up to, because it's very important that even during this journey, you have mentors and people who continue pushing you to do much better and much more. Yeah, so I have mentors. I continue to grow as I mentor as I mentor people. I also have mentors, and I want to have more mentors, and I want you to mentor me, especially how I can go about some of these areas. I've grown a little bit fast as maybe people would look at it. Yeah, when I joined LinkedIn, people are saying, "What, you've created a lot of chaos in LinkedIn. You are growing so fast. What has happened?" But basically, I've been trying to push myself now here and there so that I just fit the shoes of people who have already grown and so on. But when it comes to personal branding, it's something that I'm starting to build now. So I wouldn't be able to maybe give a lot of information on the same. Back to you, Charity.
Thank you so much. I'm even shocked when you say you just started a few months ago. I don't know why in my head I thought you had started years, 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 years. You see the power of consistency and grace, and when it locates you, you have to just take it. So thank you so
Mm.
much for sharing. You're also a brand on your own. Whatever you share, it's also a part of your personal brand. But don't say you don't have a brand. See, people reach out to Brighton to educate people on the 10 steps, and I feel like that is also part of your personal brand.
Uh,
Yes. So we'll try our best, me myself as charity and also as my platform where I share with Lillian, TNC. We'll try our best to talk about that. But probably we may make wind hata mtazijua you're still a young profession. So
thank you.
so like I said, you're so passionate about the work you do. How do you remain authentic? There's a thin line between someone actually saying something and actually believing in what they say. How do you remain authentic in the content you're creating so far?
Okay. Thanks again for basically asking again that question, how I remain authentic. It's very challenging. Sometimes you want to share information, and as you share information, there are a lot of things that maybe you target at the end. Most of the times, we target the likes. We want to have more followers, information that is more appealing. But every time you share something, you need to ask yourself, is this information accurate? Is this information, of course, authentic? Is this information correct? All those questions need to come in mind. Because again, in these platforms, you might grow very fast and then just fall off suddenly when you've not, when the information someone later on it's found, maybe it's not credible enough, it's not scientific based, it's not evidence based, and so on. So for me, what I try most of the times to do, I read, I try to grow. Like you mentioned, when it comes to, especially in personal branding, the Imam guideline that I know in Mama Lucy, I'm called the walking Imam, Imam guideline. Now, what I did, I know there are people who are already in that session, but what I did, last year, what I was doing, I started presenting the Imam guideline within the students' platform, the Kenya Nutrition and Athletic Students Association, from the very, very first module, from the first page where we still introduce what is malnutrition and so on. And my target at that point was to go about it through all the way until the end of that particular IMAM guideline. Now, my target at that particular period was also to grow myself. I wanted to, because every time I'm creating a presentation, I have to go read it. I don't just say, when I'm creating I don't just go online, go to ChatGPTs and just find information. I have to go to where we have authentic papers, guidelines that are very well recognized and so on that we use to get information. Because where you get, sometimes when you just go to the internet and search something, you might also be misinformed. And then when you're misinformed, that means at the end of the day, you are going to share information that is also not accurate. So one of the things I'm doing also is to read more and more, just to ensure that every information that I share is scientifically proven, it is evidence-based, and anyone else can go and research more about it and still get that information. Now, again, authenticity is not all about, because I can have the information, which is science-based and evidence-based, but when I now share it, I want to twist it a little bit so that there are people who now get attracted to that information, and maybe I get more likes and more followers and so on. And for me, as someone build influence, it's not as far as followers is important and how many followers you have. I still feel that it's very important that you grow, even as you grow gradually, process by process, you maintain your information as authentic as much as it can be, so that you don't have a scenario where you got a huge number of followers or influence, and then the information you are sharing was not accurate. Then later on, there is a lot of criticism that comes with it again. So again, it's a process. I wouldn't want to say, as far as there are a lot of channels, I wouldn't want to say that someone can just get in and then boop, you are ahead and you do way more. You just need to keep believing in what you are sharing, as for long you know it's a true information, because the first step is to believe in yourself. So if you believe in yourself, you'll continue pushing yourself. And when you get one follower today and who believes in that, that one follower can yield another two, and that's how you continue growing. And in the long run, you'll go far with that, because you are sharing something that is evidence-based and you are remaining authentic as much as possible. Of course, your information must be also conveyed in a more appealing way, but the authenticity part must also be well kept. Again, like I've said, there are more trainings that maybe need to be done in this context. Even me, I know I'm still not there. I want to grow. I want to learn more. I know there are senior professionals. I've seen Eunice doing so much. Again, in matters relating to lactation, I've seen you doing so much. Mumina, Geraldine, and many other people who I've seen doing so much. And you are people who I look up to. So when I go back, even in Mama Lucy, sometimes when I mentor my students, I have to mention you. Even absentia, telling them there are these people, and I start encouraging my students also to start joining as early as possible and start as soon sharing a little bit of things. And I've seen a few of my students joining LinkedIn. Some of them have come up with ideas which are way much better, which they can share. One of my students started posting. He realized he has zero followers, but he's been posting for he's been posting for around a month. So he's a good friend of mine who I mentor, a student from University of Nairobi, and he's creating a few things. I told him, no, just keep on. I'm already your follower, and that's how you'll be continuing growing. Once I've been your follower, someone else will come in and will believe, as for long as sharing the most authentic information. Yeah, thank you. Back to you, Charity.
Those are very good, kind words from Brighton. I hope whatever you want to take away from this, just take away what Brighton has said. Don't worry, this video will be up on my LinkedIn page. I'm also going to upload it on my YouTube channel. So if you want to come back, you tuned in a little bit late, you can still watch more and learn more from our guest, Brighton. So you've been online. I know maybe you've not been posting, or you've been posting but not consistently. So what do you think are the common mistakes us as professionals are making online that you have seen, and you're just like, from your own experience, from what you have read online?
Okay. I think the economy mistakes that sometimes, of course, we make. I'll of course begin at the individual basis. Like I've said, it starts with you as an individual. Do you have faith in yourself? Are you competent enough? And so on. So if as far as we want to remain consistent and keep sharing information, it's not all about sharing that information, but you have to get the information which is more accurate. That's something I'll continue talking about here now and then. So the common mistakes is that sometimes you just get information without verifying the credibility or maybe the source of that information, and then you come with it and then just share it for the sake. And that's a very big mistake that you start making, because people will start losing faith in what you do if they find that information is not accurate. Again, the second part that we'll talk about, uh, it's okay to sometimes make mistake, but of course you need to learn from these mistakes. Sometimes you might get criticism when you start something on social media. I like rewatching every session. So even after this one, I have this session, I go back and rewatch it and see where could I done better? What can I improve going forward? So that's how I've been growing myself. Every session. When I started, I remember when I was invited on NTV, that is last year, I was invited on NTV to give a talk on diabetes, and it was a Swahili session. And you can imagine I'm a Luo who's not good in Swahili. But I told myself, why not? So I built my confidence because it starts with me. So I built my confidence, and uh, uh, when that opportunity came, everyone else that you are with refused to get that opportunity because they say, I can only maybe try English. I can't try Swahili. And I just went to that platform, did my Swahili, and at the end of the day, people are congratulating, Brighton, you've done so, and so on. And it keeps me faith going on. Now, with that, again, there are people who will criticize the work. I remember the NTV session was posted on Facebook, and I ended up because I wasn't a fan of Facebook, but at some point I joined the Facebook just to see what's going on, and I realized the NTV has posted a lot of about me on Facebook. So when I joined there, I found a lot of criticism as well. Now, as a professional, when you get a lot of criticism, sometimes when you hear people say negative things, you can give up and you can lose hope at that point. Now, the mistake that again people would make is to give up because of criticism or critique that have been given towards or against the work that they are doing. So the key thing is that share that information, and if it is a true information, if it's a critic where indeed you need to improve on this and so on, take it very positively. But the criticism should not weigh you down, should not make you to give up. Continue building yourself and continue growing, and believe in what you are sharing as long it is it is the right information. Now, another area that I can talk about is that another mistake is that someone can start so well, but then they are not consistent enough in between. So again, without consistency, sometimes it's a bit of a problem. Like I've said, when you look at most of my posts, and that's why right now I want to come with that project of food as medicine. And that project, I know at Mama Lucy City Shamba, the City Shamba is supposed also to do it. It's just that they are still looking for donors and so on. But even before then, I've thought, why not start building something on my own about food as medicine? And I was saying, when you look at my post very well, most of the things I've shared so far are just the things that I do when I've attended an event, what I've learned, and so on, and how that can impact. But then I've been seeing again, because every now and then I try and learn. I've been seeing what you post, what Mumina posts, what Geraldine posts, what Eunice posts, and many other people who are doing so well in those social media platforms. Is that other than just what I do as a person, we also share a lot of information about nutrition as a science, and that information is very important because once someone sees this, they get to benefit from that science. People who are practicing, the patients who are with those platforms, they can still get that idea. And I feel that's, for me, is as far as I'm doing a little bit well, I still a limitation on my end. I need also to provide information just basically on nutrition as a science, and that is also to tell people that if it does not mean that you have to go for an event for you to post on LinkedIn. You can actually just have a nutrition information that is scientifically proven, and you can share that. I've seen people who are very consistent in that LinkedIn, and I say, wow. Because for me, I've been posting a lot just about what I do because I engage in so many activities. When I say, if you are able to get information, identify what you can do, build a brand. Like you ask me a question about a brand, build a brand. So if, for example, I know I'm so good about integrated management of acute malnutrition, I can start with that and share real time information about integrated management of acute malnutrition, and people start also identifying you with that and so on. Yeah, so that's part of mistakes that people make, inconsistency and so on. And maybe just to also say that all of us need to, in this field, you need to build yourself and you need to be trained. So if you do not know how to do it well, you need to always also reach for someone to mentor you so that you can do it so well and so on. And let's be realistic. We don't start it today and tomorrow, boom, you are somewhere. You are be realistic as possible, because there are people who start and they think that by tomorrow, because of this, I would have reached somewhere. It's a process. It's a step by step. So that's what I'll say in that regard. I know there are many people with different views and so on that, of course, I'll be glad also to listen from other people. Thank you. Back to you, Charity.
Yeah, there's so many things people can see. And also, if you're going to watch this back, you can just leave some of the common mistakes we make as nutritionists online. You can leave in the comments of this video on LinkedIn, or you can go when I upload it on my YouTube. You can still leave a comment and let's discuss more. So we have about 5 minutes left, and I have 3 questions. So utajifinya tu zijibu. So the first question I'll want for you as we wind up is to just share a few skills you think someone should have beyond the nutrition skills that we have that can help someone in the online space. And then you'll talk about the mindset shift when it comes to getting into the digital space. And then you'll finalize with just advice to anyone who is getting into this platform or who wants to start. I know you've talked at length about that, so you can just finalize it as we finish the session.
Okay, I feel the questions are interrelated, so I'll just cap it up. Um, Part of things that maybe I would also recommend in this scenario. Now, one of the things that I would say that someone need to find the niche. You need to identify an area. Again, it goes back to the brand. We have a lot of areas that someone can dwell in: maternal nutrition, sports nutrition, child nutrition, public health, food safety, and so on. That anyone, based on what you feel you can do better, you identify that and you start building on that. Another thing is we don't need to wait for an expensive equipment, because I think I was waiting for that at some point. When someone told me I need to create a YouTube channel, I don't have one. Or rather, if I have, maybe I have created. Some of these things I just created and then I left them there dormant, doing nothing. Because I was saying I have to buy a lot of things. I need a very good camera. I need a very good ring light and so on, things that I can use and so on. Maybe I need a place as well. But I feel you don't have to wait for you to acquire all those equipment and so on. You can start at some point with what you actually have, and you can start building yourself from that particular very point. So once you've identified your niche, you now start it from where you are without necessarily saying that I have to acquire. People who already acquired that, they must have started at some point. They must have started in an area, and that first step is the most important thing that you really need to understand, that start it from where you are and you don't need to wait. So start now. Again, once you start, you have to create time and so that you remain consistent. I know I've talked about the aspect of consistency, just to mention that you still have to be very consistent. The next thing, you need to be very adaptable. You need to be very adaptable. Again, especially being nutrition as a science, information every now and then changes. So you need to really be up to date and be very flexible, and also know that what you knew yesterday might have changed when you look at it today. So that means you must be someone who is very flexible and understand that information can change and can be updated. So you really need to also be up to date with information. And I've been challenging a lot of institutions, especially the institutions that bring their students at Mama Lucy, because sometimes when what the students have learned in school and they come on the real ground, they find a lot of differences in terms of what they've learned. And the key reason behind that is that some of the institutions are not using the up-to-date information or the up-to-date guidelines that are available. So as a professional in this field and you are venturing in this social media platform, you want to create content, you need to ensure you attend the sessions that when they're there, so that you build yourself. We have a lot of, I realize, I don't know if before when I was a student, there were so many sessions. Maybe because I wasn't a social media person, I missed a lot at that time. Because I feel like every day there is a session, and every day there's an important session that you can go learn, and you start learning from people, you build yourself. Sometimes reading alone is very challenging. When I tell someone go and read and learn that nutrition as a science, sometimes it can be very challenging. But when you attend these sessions, you can ask questions and you start growing from that point. So attending the webinars, the sessions that we have like this on LinkedIn, that's part of how you start growing and so on. So we keep learning. Nutrition changes. So we again engage with the audience is part of the important things that uh, the upcoming professionals, professionals who are there and who need to grow, they really need also to try as much as possible, keep on engaging with the audience, because I can also imagine when you have a lot of feedback and you from the audience and you are not engaging the audience, later on they wouldn't maybe give you feedback on the what you've done. So it's very important as well that you engage with your audience, respond to the questions that are asked, respond to the comments, and so on. And that also is also part of growth. Network, collaborate. I'm just keeping it as part of advice that I'll be giving. You need to network with people, you need to collaborate. And in that networking, like I told you, for me, I do not just believe in networking with people who are far beyond me. So as I want to network with Charity, I will also be looking at that a first year student who has just started pursuing nutrition and athletics and so on, or that second year, those people who are still in school. Like I've told you, I've got opportunities in institutions to go and teach, not because I knew the lecturer, but because the students are the ones who went to and recommended me there. That means when opportunities comes, it can be either way. Someone beyond you can recommend you, someone below can also recommend you, things like that. So as you network, it cuts across. It's not all about someone who is above. So many people, when we go to an event, so many people in that event will just go and look for Charity, look for Brighton, look for Eunice, look for who, and so on. But then they ignore someone who just came for the first time. And I like using an example. Right now, our HOD is called Mr. Patrick at Mama Lucy. When I was an Atachi, he was just a young nutritionist who was just there and was orienting me at medical and surgical ward. Now, around 2 years later, since I did around 3 years, 4 years, right now he has come back and he is now the HOD. Now, people who are already above are now again, because now with the HOD, you have to give respect and so on. That is just to say that when it comes to networking, we need to be very open-minded people, that it cuts across. That person who is below you, you don't know, is maybe ahead tomorrow or might actually connect you with an opportunity. And then we need to support other creators. We need to support each other. Yeah, that's a very important area we need to support, and that's part of growth. So and that's why for me, I take all opportunity. If I get an opportunity, even if I'm invited 1 hour from now, I'll still take up that opportunity as part of either support, as part of also I want to grow and also learn and keep progressing at the end of the day. Attend conferences, share ideas, but also the most important thing, be patient. As you know, growth takes time and trust takes even longer. So you really need to keep it up. I don't know if I've answered your question. I know you asked 3 questions. I have just capped it up. I don't know if I've answered those questions, but back to you, Charity.
Yes, you have. And someone who keenly listens will be able to get the 3 questions because you've matched them perfectly, like in a wave until because it was digital. Any other technical skills someone needs, mtu mwenye amesikiliza amejua the mindset shift, and also one last word to any student or anyone who has tuned into this first episode. I was scared. I might appear like I know what I'm doing in front of a camera, but I always have imposter syndrome sometimes, and I end up procrastinating about starting some things. But I'm very happy that I pushed myself and I'm going to start this series. And I want us to continue with this piece. This will be always 1 hour. That's why I don't want to go any far because I know Brighton is tired. I'm quite up and down the whole day. I do not even want to take much of his time. So thank you so much for honoring my invitation, Brighton. I know it was short notice, but you accepted and you've come and delivered. And I hope anyone who has tuned in, you've been able to get one or two things from Brighton. So just as we finalize, any final remarks before I close off the live session, Brighton?
Thank you. Sure. My closing message that I'll definitely give. I'll just say that content creation, sharing that information through social media, is one way that will help you improve, will help you progress, will help you grow as a professional. Right now, I appear in 2 documentaries, one by BBC, and that's an international documentary, and the other one that I just shared, that was published, rather shared by the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. So it's a proud moment. Again, all of that started coming because of the platforms like LinkedIn and so on. In Mama Lucy, and sometimes even those people in City Shamba, they do not know the nutritionists that are there within the hospital. So what happens that for me, they started seeing me from the social media on LinkedIn, and they started following up on me and find out how I am as a person, as a professional, and that's how I started engaging with them even and then. So my closing message to professionals and the upcoming professionals, I will say that content creation is no longer actually optional for healthcare professionals. It is an extension of our responsibility to educate the society, to impact the community, to impact very many people through the work that you actually do. As we look at the world today is going towards digitization. I'll give an example at Mama Lucy. Currently, since I started working at Mama Lucy, we've been doing a lot of paperwork. So you have to have an assessment form. Right now, as we speak, everything is technology. So we have to assess a patient. You just have a tablet. We have a system called 𝐻𝐩𝐸 that we are using, and so on. So basically, it is not optional for you to engage in this. We need to take a responsibility to educate people, because you never know. Every post, every video, every article is an opportunity to actually combat misinformation that is around the social media. It is our responsibility to combat that misinformation, because if we ignore those people who are not certified or who are not licensed, who are not registered, to continue sharing information that is not authentic, then it's our public that is going to continue to suffer. So it is our work to combat this misinformation, to inspire healthier choices, of course, and shape the future of healthcare in this particular context. So do not underestimate the value of your voice. Someone somewhere is waiting to actually learn from what you have, the little knowledge that you might be having. So that's what I will say at the end of my session. Thank you again, Charity, for your invitation. And I hope I've done my best in this context. And I really appreciate, because again, this is going to help me to grow. And for sure, once you have the link to the video and so on, I'll want to listen to it even before I sleep. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brighton. I used to be like that when I was just starting. I used to rewatch my videos, rewatch, and then I end up getting upset, and then I take the video down. But I've worked on those. So I post as sure as I can, and I just hope people genuinely take me for who I am. That's why I asked about authenticity, and I can feel from your voice and from how you've spoken throughout this whole session that you're really passionate about what you do. So I'm so glad you're my first guest on this conversation. So I'm hoping to have more of this. So thank you for anyone who tuned in. Elizabeth Nimekuona backstage. Thank you so much for joining us for this session. Anyone who has watched on LinkedIn, because we are not there, but it's live stream, Moko. We appreciate you for joining us. And my hope is that from Brighton's experience, you'll be able to use your voice well. There are more opportunities, and you can create your own opportunities and use your digital platform well. You'd never know who is watching. And I know Brighton these days, job recruiters are going through people's LinkedIn. Like when they advertise for a job, they ask for your LinkedIn profile and they go through what you're posting. So if you're applying for a job and they don't see what you're doing, sometimes you can end up missing those opportunities. So this will be a continued journey. I'll try my best to make it as innovative as possible. So if you have a story to tell and you want to be featured, I'm open. Because for me, kwa vile amesema Brighton, kwa kichwa I'm just remembering those people who are constantly posting, na ni hao ndio their tapes are still going, na ni hao ndio I'll try and reach out and bring them so that we can continue talking. ama I'm being biased, but ni celebration amesema we look watu wako chini na watu wako juu. Sasa I'm saying if you're open to coming and talking about your digital experience, because definitely I'm sure I'm going to bring Amos and Kamau here. Amos and Maina, unajua na aki Amos ako tu kwa kichwa yangu. I'm going to bring them here. I think I'll have a panel with them and like in Ivy and Sylvia. We just talk about the digital conversation when it comes to students. There's a point you see that si tuko tunafanya nini. Me, I'll gladly say sisi hatuko tunajua the association, because I've seen the student association usually have the presentations, the webinars every week. So me hata sikumbuki kama tulikuwa na webinars. At our time, I don't think those things were there. Ama kama zilikuwa, some of us didn't know. That's why you'll find that most opportunities to continue learning were not there. Maybe wewe yako ilikuwa, si hatujui.
Sure. And just before you close,
Yeah.
I just remember something. Indeed, if someone sometimes you do not engage in these social media platforms, they are going to lose a lot of opportunities. I remember there was a job that was advertised, I think around a year ago. And when it was advertised, one of the things they were saying, share your social media links so that they can see the work that you are doing. And I did apply for that job. I wasn't even called. They didn't consider me because I was having nothing, literally nothing in my social media account. So some of these opportunities, they will want to check through what you've been doing and so on. So indeed, you can miss a lot of opportunities again when you don't engage. You might be doing a lot in the background, but again, if it is not known to people, then no one might recognize it and so on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Breton, for those lovely words. And for me, I can attest to it. That's why I always encourage you. Si lazima ukuwe na logo, si lazima ukuwe na brand. You just show up as your authentic self with your evidence-based voice and content. And I'm sure with the time, you'll keep on growing to whatever place you want to go, as long as you have your goals in mind. So we are 10 minutes in past time. So we'll continue this conversation in our next episode. Sijui itakuwa siku gani, but be on the lookout on my page. I'll be able to tell you guys. So from me and Brighton, we thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see each other in the next episode. So good night and bye.
Good night.